Welcome back, day 4 of December Daily. You will see there's page 3. We're at the back of day 2, so playing around. We are talking about gratitude, what you are thankful for, and incorporating a waterfall card, a waterfall element in a journal. Gratitude journals are one of the most basic journals, in my opinion, that you can keep, because you need one line. I am thankful for at the top of the page, and each day one sentence. And sometimes we forget, so that's a very, very nice reminder. So today's prompt deals all about thankfulness and gratitude. And a waterfall card sounds very fancy, but in essence, that's something that flips like that. They can also page like that. So you will see that it ties in with the hidden journaling and the tip in and tip out. So it's all just elements to add more writing space and to make your page slightly more interactive. Waterfall elements and waterfall cards are very often found in mini journals where there are photos on each of these little flaps. Not so common in journals, but it's actually quite a nice element to add. I've put my protective sheet down to spare the fabric. With waterfall cards, you need to be quite precise in your measurements and your folding. Otherwise, when the card lies like this, the little flaps don't line up so well. Even mine, looking at it, I mean, there's millimeters that are wrong. You can adjust them. You could probably just slice them down the side if you go very off. But in essence, they are little cards like this. I've done them in black so that they show up, and the measurement finished is 10 by 10 centimeters. So when you cut them 10 centimeters across and 11 centimeters up, because you need a fold, and that fold is a centimeter. When I do the folds, I use a scoreboard, which is it's a big board with these grooves in there. So if you were to put, what have we got? If you were to put a paper on there, it helps you to draw a straight line, because your folder, do you see that, runs in a channel. If you plan to do card making, pockets, envelopes, mini albums, a scoreboard is very valuable. If you are an occasional journaler, you can also just measure. So if you did that as a centimeter, draw a line and take your ruler and fold against that, or fold against your table edge or something like that. So no scoreboard needed. So you can add as many waterfalls as you would want. I've also added one in Christmas paper that is longer, purely because it was a little off-cut Christmas piece that I had. It's a nice way to incorporate Christmas paper into your journal, Christmas scrapbooking paper, if you don't have a lot of Christmas paper, or you don't want to overwhelmingly do it in Christmas. It's board, it's not paper, not too stiff, but you can use paper. I used paper in some of the other ones. And basically, you end up lining these guys up where the one flap, let's do gold, where the one flap ends. So that's where it ends. Your next one will lie flat against that. The trick is to have a scrap piece of cardboard the same width, so also 10 centimeters. And when you line your guys up like that, that your scrap board is wide enough to take all the folds. So it would be 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters, and this one is 8, so plenty. And then you start gluing, and you glue very, very carefully. So we're going to start. I'm going to use wet glue like a PVA, because then you get wiggle room to maneuver one bead, and then you line up your edges with your card. A lot of this can be disguised, so if you have glue leakage, don't go crazy. Lift it up, check, maneuver, and then comes the next one. So I'm just going to do a visual guide. So there you can see that's where it ends, and I am now going to paste the next one flap down, because it needs to page, needs to waterfall. So that lines up like that. Again, close, look. If you need to make this little join of yours slightly skew to make these sides line up, do that, because that you can hide with a piece of lace or a piece of tape. But if something is jutting out here, it's very difficult to disguise unless you start cutting, and then no doubt you'll cut skew. Again, stop. This middle one's not great actually, so I'm just going to move that over. You'll notice I'm not smoothing down the glue yet. I'm just doing the folds. Another one. Oops. Checking, lining up, yes, yes, yes. And then the last one is my Christmas paper and my long one. This is personal preference, how you like it to look. There we go. Now I'll take my folder and go over the glue. Be careful when you go over the glue that you don't shift your little flaps, even, is the word infinitesimally, because then it won't line up. Looking from the bottom, do you see there's a sliver? It's not the worst, it's not the best, it's okay. And then the last bit of black card, which was your backing, you can just cut off because you don't need that. If you are scared of folding and scoring, back to your trusty cereal boxes, most of them have a side gusset, so they have a score. So they've done the work for you, so you can cut your panels out of that. And then this one I've just covered in coffee dyed paper, so it would be exactly the same. This is slightly thicker, but then your folds and your scorings done for you, and you end up with quite a nice neutral background to write on, and you've reused what you have. If you have one of these page edge punches, you can punch your little edges of your cards, of your waterfalls, to look pretty. That's some washi tape disguising the fold. And then this can now be used either for photos or for journaling. My idea with these would be to give a heading in terms of food and list the food that I'm grateful for, what I like in my house, what I like in my garden. So use each little fold as a separate item. And then the front, very front, I will decorate and embellish. This one we're going to do with some laces and trims to soften the edges. I'm giving my very edge, so that's a piece of lace, do you see? And this one is just a piece of scrap fabric. I'm giving it a ruffle with my glue gun. It's not something that I generally show on camera because you can burn yourself. So it's one dot of glue, fold it over and just stick it down. And then you get a ruffle. The ruffle may not be equidistant, is that the word? But I think for the farmhouse rustic it gives quite a nice effect. And then when you're finished with that, you just lift to see where it didn't stick to the card, but generally it catches okay. And then just make sure your initial piece that you cut is actually long enough. I think I'm going to run out. Measure twice, cut once, so I've got no choice but to not give the last bit a ruffle. So that's also some way to make your own trim. And then you'll see the trim that I'm using, I am repeating again and again throughout the journal. I think this one we're going to see the glue gun, but let's see. If you don't have a glue gun, you can use any of your wet glues. They stick lace fine too. I just really like using my glue gun, and I mean sometimes it's a bit messy, but you can generally just rub off the excess. So I've done trim, skip, trim, skip, trim, and it's all in the colorways of the little meerkat. So cute from the pack. Really some nice characters to go with the farmhouse rustic theme. So that looks like a little table skirt. So now, how does this sit on a journal page? I'm working on my long page, which is a 30 by 30, 12 by 12, a big piece of scrapbooking paper, purely because I like the scale. Shall we zoom out? Because once you start flipping, it uses the whole page. And then the bottom one also flips. So, or you can stick it down that it doesn't flip. So you can either stick just the flap down, which you've used as your backing, or you can stick down all the way, the bottom one too. And then I haven't disguised the joins here, but it's quite obvious, so I should. Nothing too thick because it must still be able to flip. So I think washi tape is probably the best, or masking tape like we discussed, or like a gauze actually will be nice. So it's medical gauze. It's cotton, it takes color while inking, food coloring even, and just putting that over there actually gives a nice bit of texture and some fluffies and things, and it still hides. You'll probably see the glue, but again, not the end of the world. With glue gun, obviously incredibly hot, so I always have pokey tools just to do some of the finer work. That's fine. I've also stuck it to my page. It just softens the edge. It's not much. It's really when you start using the journal, do you see? It's actually quite nice that you feel the stuff and you see the things. Okay, The contrast between papers won't be so big if you didn't use a pattern paper, if you used a plain cardstock. But for me, this is a nice space to add some detail. And then the last thing is some people round their corners with a corner rounder. It's a little tool that you can just click, but you can also just draw a shape and round the corners. They do look neater, but it's really, it's personal preference. And that fits on there. Now that I've glued it, I glued it on a line lining up. I don't like the bird next to the meerkat, so again with the ring binder, that is the benefit. You just take it out and move it along. So perhaps we'll get to that later. I've used the one, I'm not sure, I'm going to use the other one. I think that's a bit much, yes. I'm going to stay with one, and then I still hide that, and then I've done it that this last one flips up. I'm now looking for an anchor to my page, what the page is about. I like doing that, so it would be gratitude, it would be thankful for, it would be donkey, or yeah, something like that. And because it's quite a big page, this doily to me echoes a little poinsettia in the meerkat, so I think something like that. So that is how I play around on pages until they look right to me. When adding elements on a page, I also like anchoring them so that the one touches the other, or like I said, that elements echo the shape or the form or something like that. So for me, remember this then ties in very nicely with what I will be journaling about. Gratitude. The waterfall card gives me lots of space and also makes it neater, in my opinion, to be writing a lot. And doily, very nice with a farmhouse. That, very nice with a farmhouse. Little meerkat, all the colors tie in. And also, what pleases me is the pages that you're seeing peeking out that you've done match. I also like that. So you can see as I'm going along, my pages are getting slightly more elaborate, but also still paying very careful attention to what the prompt means and what the prompt can give me. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see some of your pages being shared soon, and we will be talking tomorrow about a favorite recipe and using index cards as journaling cards and also using pockets. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.